Good morning. Amazon recently announced their new video game streaming service, Luna, and with it came the Greek chorus of "Video game streaming isn't the future" that happens anytime anyone announces some new video game streaming service. See, here's the thing. The people who are complaining about this on the internet don't get to decide what the future is. Consumers do. Consumers could decide that streaming isn't the future. They could also decide it is, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. Of course, these are also the same people who are decrying the shift to digital distribution from physical distribution of video games. And it's not just that they're fighting a losing war, it's that the war has already been won, and they're still trying to fight. Digital distribution of video games is already the de facto way it works on the PC, and Microsoft and Sony just announced new consoles that don't have physical media. So the writing isn't just on the wall, it is the wall. So this chorus, this "I want to own stuff, physical is the only way," that's exactly what we heard when music and movies made the transition to digital distribution. And guess what? Physical media lost. Now don't get me wrong, taking one look behind me would see how much I love physical media. I have movies, TV shows, video games, and books. But that doesn't mean I'm naive enough to think that the future isn't digital. Let's take a trip back and talk a little bit about the transition from physical media to digital media in other industries. Let's start with music. CDs, a huge business in the 90s and early 2000s, and then iTunes and other stores like it came along, and CDs became less and less and less visible. And when iTunes came out, everyone was like, "Oh, the sound quality is garbage, no one's gonna want that, it's crap." And yet, here we are. And the same thing happened with movies, by the way. No one's gonna wanna buy movies digitally, they're gonna wanna buy them physically. Digital distribution came along and changed things a little bit. It wasn't nearly as drastic as it was in the music industry, but it was somewhat drastic. But then something happened. Netflix started their streaming service, and little by little, streaming services for movies became ubiquitous. And that is how the majority of people seem to consume movies and TV shows today. And I guarantee you, all of those people who are like, "I want to own my games," are the same people who have a Netflix subscription and a Disney Plus subscription and all of these other places, so that way they can watch all the movies they want to watch whenever they want for one flat rate. Probably because they don't understand irony. And music took a similar path. There's like a million music streaming services out there that you can listen to pretty much everything all the time whenever you want for a flat fee. I guarantee you all the same people who are like, "I want physical games," are the same people who will also fire up Spotify or Apple Music or whatever to listen to music these days. Because convenience always wins. The one thing no one wants to talk about these days when it comes to streaming services and stuff is that all we have done is revamp the rental model. Renting as a concept is not new, but renting things like movies is in the grand scheme of things. It started in the 80s and gradually grew and grew into the Blockbusters of the world, and then that gave way to Netflix with their DVDs, and now it's the same thing. You can watch anything you want for one flat fee. It's slightly different than the older model, but even Blockbuster had, towards the end, an all-you-can-watch plan. I know, I worked at Blockbuster in 2005. Renting is just easier, and it is exactly where the video game industry really wants to go. With Xbox Game Pass, Uplay Plus, whatever EA has, and streaming, to me, is just the next evolution of it. So why will streaming succeed, and why will it fail? Well, there's really one reason why it will succeed, and that is cost. So my gaming PC cost about $500 if you wanted to make an equivalent version today, and that's pretty expensive, but it also pales in comparison to performance to the new consoles, which are also both $500, and then they each have cheaper models at $400, and the Switch is $300, and the Switch Lite is $200, and I'm hoping I'm giving you this idea. These are not cheap things. And then on top of that, you have video games. Now, $60 is actually probably too cheap for your average AAA title these days, given development costs and all that, but it is still a lot of money. Behind me, you can see that I have 5 physical Switch games, and all of them were $60. My Steam library is significantly larger. Games are not cheap. Amazon has 3 Fire TV sticks and then something called the Fire TV Cube, and each one gets progressively better, but it starts at $30 and then $40 and then $50. Their best streaming stick is only $50. And guess what? According to Amazon, you can do on that streaming stick. Play games on Luna. For one fee, which is right now $6, but will probably go up, you can play a collection of games. And now you're talking $50 for the stick that you plug into your TV, and then right now, $6 a month, but after early access, I'd imagine that number's gonna go up to $10 a month. But even if it's $10 a month, that's $120 a year to play a ton of games. Or 2 full-priced AAA titles today. Cost and convenience will always win out. Now, that is why these streaming services will succeed. Where are they gonna fail? technology. Video game streaming services are not really fully ready for prime time yet. Now, I imagine it won't be too much longer as more and more people subscribe to these services, and as the technology gets better and better and better, that we will see this improve. The biggest issue that a lot of people are having isn't really latency. It's actually going to be data. I think it was Amazon who said that an hour of gameplay at 1080p is going to be about 10 gigabytes of data. That number has to be much lower. And that only really works if you don't have data caps at home. Even if you have unlimited mobile data, the likelihood that your carrier slows down your connection after you get like 20 gigabytes is pretty high. That's like 2 hours of gameplay before your speed slows down. That's not a lot of time. And the amount of data being used for streaming services is so important that if they can't figure it out, they will fail. Because as I said before, convenience and cost win out. But cost isn't always a dollar sign figure. Sometimes that cost is data, and if that cost is too high, people aren't going to sign up for that service. Now again, I think that we'll figure this out, because if they can figure that out and streaming services take off, everyone who's complaining about it today, who doesn't jump on the bandwagon later, is going to get left in the dust. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.